started? Very good. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the boot camp. First, I want to know who are in the audience. This is designed for non-programmers. So let's see, how many computer science majors? Very good. If you are a computer science, this will be too easy, but you will learn something. How many of them from business majors? I believe many of them. Good. How many of them from kinesiology? One. How many of them from other sciences? Oh, we talked to them. That's good. Good. And other majors? Yeah, of course. Communication design. We have quite a few, right? Please raise your hand. Communication design. That's good. Very good. So, well, if someone kind of 20-some years ago, in the future, look back to our time, they will see this is an exciting time, especially using the mobile devices to create innovation and create a lot of business opportunity. And I will see that, maybe 100 years ago, there's a two camp of people. One can read, the other cannot read. I think in our time will be one group can program an app, the other group cannot program an app. Now that will make your career different. So I'm glad that many of you, this might be your first opportunity to create an app, even in a very short bootcamp, but you will get to know the process, the little bit of a mechanism behind it. I believe they will come with a functional, even simple app. Okay? So this is part of the IIED, that is the Institute for Innovation and Economic Development. It's funded by our tax dollars. It's managed by Dr. Brett Barbeau, Mary Jo Zhang, and myself. So we have a whole set of events. This is the beginning. In next week, we have a salon talk about blue and green economy on Friday. And the week afterwards, we have another bootcamp focused on doing the app with programming background. Next week. Then quickly we'll have a hackathon to create a real, close to professional app in the beginning of the Thanksgiving week. January, we'll have a startup weekend. That means you put your business together based upon technology or service you create. Then the grand finale for the whole academic year is starting from March, but end in May, is a business plan competition we call Startup Challenge. If you win, there will be a real cash prize. Professor Bravo, how much is that this year?
For students, it'll be $1,500.
And for professional, for a real venture,
If you do a real venture, it'll be $20,000.
$20,000, that's real money. So put together your idea, put together your team, learn a lot today, and you have a chance hopefully not only win the prizes, but take your idea to market. Then we will name this building after you. I want to really thank, of course, Dr. Bravo, Mary Jo Zhang, Ben, but the two wonderful computer science, technology professor organized and present this workshop and bootcamp. The one that helped us to kind of oversee a lot of events is Professor Miguel Lara. Miguel? But the rock star of today is our brand new faculty that is with expertise in programming, in game development, in human-computer interface, is our new professor, Dr. Pietrosek. Christoph will lead us for the next few hours. So let's again welcome our Professor Pietrosek.
Hello everybody, thanks for coming. I hope you will enjoy these 3 hours presentation and workshop. Let me first tell you what we'll be doing, because it's a long time, so we have to divide it into smaller chunks. And yes, there is a break. We don't need to sit here for 3 hours. So we'll start with the general idea, what you can do when you have an idea for an app. What are your options? And then we'll talk a little bit about the market, Android and or iOS market, and see if does it or does it not make sense to address both markets. Then I want to talk about App Inventor, which is the way we will be creating apps in this workshop in the context of a lean startup model. I don't know if you've heard about it. I will just quickly introduce it. I think App Inventor perfectly fits the lean startup model. And I was told, and I also see that there is most students are from business, so it might be interesting for you to see how it fits into this model. And after this very short presentation, we will actually program our first app in 3 minutes. It will be functional app in 3 minutes, which I call Say Hello app. And it will be an app which is designed to convince my hardware. If you look like here, it's actually a lot of equipment and cables not to break during the workshop. Because as you know, whenever there is a demo, something has to break. So I will talk to my hardware nicely and ask her not to break. Then we will have a break, or maybe we'll start a little bit before the break to actually design a fully functional app, which we call Spot Locator, which is designed by Dr. Lara. So we will be designing it, we'll talk about what are the functionalities, and then if time allows, and I see that you are doing well in the workshop, I will actually challenge you to implement yourself some of the features which are missing in the version which I will show. So if everything goes well, at the end of this workshop, you should not only have an app, but you should have a basic ability to create simple apps, and then you can extend it to actually build apps for your startup businesses or for any other purposes. Okay? So the first question is, what do you do if you have an app idea? And of course, one possibility would be to hire a developer, right? That's the easiest thing. That's what usually we do. We just hire developers, they build it for us, and we release the app. Well, the problem is that the ideas are cheap, so to say, even if they are good, but the development time is expensive. And according to TechCrunch, development of a simple app, average price of development of a simple app is between $3,000 and $8,000, so they calculated is $6,500 just to develop the first version of the app from your idea. And this is for simple apps. We're not talking about complicated stuff, it's just basic stuff. So the question is, well, is it worth it to do it if you don't yet know if there is a market, if there is any traction, is anybody interested, maybe there is a competition who is too strong, right? So investing so much money up front might not be the best option. So another option is to learn programming, right? So that's the best one, but the problem is it takes time. And mobile development is particularly difficult. Not on the theoretical level, but because the hardware is so unreliable. You wouldn't believe how unreliable mobile devices are in comparison with desktop computers. When you program on the desktop, it's a deterministic machine. What you tell it to do, it does it. On mobile machines are still, even though they're not anymore that new, they're here for 15 years, they're still so difficult to program because something breaks, there is no compatibility, somebody didn't follow the standard, there's so many versions of the software, so many versions of the operating system. So it's much harder to program simple program on a mobile device than it is to do it on the desktop device. So if you do a programming ever, you'll be surprised how much harder it is. So this is an option if you are studying computer science, but it is not a viable option if you just want to release your app and see if there is any market interested. But there is a third option, which we are going to cover today. So the third option is to use a system which will build the app for you in such a way that it is both a real app so you can release it, but it also does not require you to do the hardcore programming, so to say. So it basically abstracts the difficulty into a higher level and allows you to focus on the functionality, on handling events, and on design of the interface instead of doing the hard work right away. So this third way there is many systems which do that. One of the ones which are getting popular right now is called App Inventor, version 2, which is right now in beta. And this is what we will be using because I think it is one of the best systems, especially it was developed at MIT and with help of Google. and it's for Android, so it's also very easy to deploy. So what is App Inventor exactly? So App Inventor is a browser-based Android development system. What does it mean browser-based? It means you don't need to install anything to actually design an app. You just go to a website and you use the website to create an app. Okay? We ask you to download some stuff and install it, but this is an external things which we might use in the workshop. But if you just want to design an app, you go to this website and open it, log in with your Google account, and that's it. You're done. It is designed for non-programmers, which is also very important. So it means it doesn't require you to know programming. It does require you to be able to think as a programmer, so to be able to design your app that it reacts to events, that it actually does something. So you have to be able to think in a specific way, and that is something which you develop over time. But it has a nice feature that it does not require you to learn programming languages, so you can actually do it without taking programming classes. And you will see that it is amazingly successful in delivering what it promises, that you, as a non-programmer, you can actually create an app. But how you actually create the app? Well, it is a block-based instead of programming-based language. So maybe you heard about other block-based programming environments like Logo. Sometimes it's used in school. Until recently, these things were used mainly for education, but App Inventor 2 is so good that it actually works in a real world, and people create apps for it. So just a little bit of a background, so you believe that the system is really good. It's not written by somebody somewhere in the middle of nowhere. It is designed based on 40 years of research at MIT and other schools into something called visual programming languages. So visual programming languages is an idea that you can program by drawing instead of by writing a code, or not only drawing, but putting together pieces, like Lego. Basically, it's simulating the idea that in the real world we actually take physical pieces and we connect them, so why not to write programs this way? And you know that traditionally writing programs is writing programs in the programming languages, which means writing specific code which can then be translated to a machine code for a computer. This is the other approach. This approach was not, it's not successful yet on a level that everybody uses it all the time. And the reason is that for complex stuff, it is really not feasible, because the pictures of the programs become huge and they are difficult to manage. It's easier to manage text. But for simple apps, and simple that doesn't mean doing nothing, it means most of the apps are on the level of simple app. You can use this methodology, and it's actually better because it's easier to understand the program, easier to extend it, and easy to manage. So it is very successful in the recent years for that particular subdomain or niche of the market, the simple apps. It was created by Professor of Computer Science at MIT, Hal Abelson, and with help of Google and other faculty of MIT. And actually there is a lot of pilots which were happening at the University of San Francisco, I've heard. Okay, so another thing which is why I really like the App Inventor 2 is that it supports the idea of a lean startup model. Anybody heard about lean startup? So this is not maybe popular enough yet, but I think it's very powerful business model. So I have some background in Silicon Valley startups. I was part of the Imagine K-12 incubator for one of my startups, and we were like basically taught that model as the best model for developing startups. So I now kind of tell you what I learned there, and I really believe this is a great model. So the idea is very simple. When we think about getting to some goal in a business, especially in IT, we think that the road to this goal is from A to B, and it's kind of straight, right? So I want to, I have an idea, I want to get an app, and I know what this app will be, so I just have to go there somehow. Through capital investments, through research and development, I will just go there, and I will achieve it. Or I am at this level of growth, and I will get to this level of growth, and it will just happen this way. But in reality, what happens is like this. You are trying to go there, but you don't really know where it is. You're looking for it. And this process looks completely chaotic. It's like, oh, maybe I should do that. No, actually that was a mistake. Oh, I will do that. No, we have to come back to the previous version, right? And then you get into this completely messy environment. And most of the business models try to address the messiness. You know, they say, oh, you have to follow this project management process, so that will help you. But what Lean Startup model says is that, no, you can't manage that. This is reality, it always will be like this. The only thing you can do is to try to ensure that when you go to this crazy path toward your goal, the path always goes a little bit further, it never goes back. So it never actually makes a mistake that it turns back and put you back into some position which you were already before. And the way it is done in a Lean Startup model is that when you have a cycle which is very short, sometimes even 1 week, which has three important elements. You have the idea, either for the initial app or the improvement on the app. Then you turn this idea into a product in a week, or actually in 3 days, let's say if you have a week, not in 3 months of development. Then you release it to your clients, maybe even testers, maybe beta testers, maybe community, maybe family on the beginning. That's okay. And they tell you what they think about it. And based on that, you measure the data, not only what they say, but you measure everything about their usage, and then turn that data into a learning process, and basically based on that, adapt to the next level. And it was shown, this is used by Y Combinator, and they actually analyzed that data very extensively and write papers about it. And it was shown that it really helps, statistically significantly improves the chances of getting from A to B over the traditional messy model. Let's do something which we have an idea to do immediately today, right? So why I'm talking about it is because it is easy, it looks easy on paper, but try to do this cycle in 1 week cycles when you are developing, right? It takes so much time to develop features. It takes a week, 2, 3 months to build the minimum viable product. But in App Inventor, it is possible. So as long as your idea is not complicated enough so that it cannot be realized in systems like App Inventor, you can very easily put this process to work because the development process doesn't take so much time, because everything is abstracted and it becomes easy. And this is a perfect method, especially if you are not a programmer or you have somebody who is not the top programmer but is helping you with development, and you want to quickly check if there is any interest in your app. So you have an idea, you release it, and then do it for 2-3 weeks, and then find out if there is any traction. If not, then just drop it. Maybe it was not that good idea in the first place. Okay? So that's why I encourage you to use App Inventor, because it supports this system. Now, the question is, well, are there any real apps made in App Inventor? Isn't it just a educational tool, or maybe a gimmick, or something which just doesn't really work, right? Nobody seriously writes programs in Logo, right? Maybe you know this language is for children or for education, but nobody really develops real serious applications in it. Well, it is not the case for App Inventor, and this is in a beta state, okay? The number 2 is in beta state. There were 11 million apps written in the last 2 years, and 4 million developers is using it. Meaning 4 million accounts is there. Actively 300,000 developers is actually using the App Inventor. So it's a huge thing. And not only that, not only for educational purposes of starting to develop apps, it is actually, these apps are actually released to the market and they win awards. So this app, for example, Locatera, is written by a 14-year-old boy from India, and it is used by parents in India to track the children's position when they come back from home when they are in the buses. So the parent can see where the child is, if he went to the bus or not, if he's on the way, when he will arrive, and expected time. All of that written by a 14-year-old boy who doesn't have computer science education, obviously. Maybe he's a genius, but still, he didn't program it. He made it from blocks of the program, okay? But there are also real, more complicated apps like statistical analyzer for MBA, which is completely written. You can download it, install it on your computer. It's a pretty good app. It's complicated app which you would pay this $7,000 to develop if you pay a developer to do it. So it is not that App Inventor is just let's try it and then learn real programming. It's a development where you actually can program stuff and get it released to a real market. Now, the only problem with App Inventor is that it is Android only because it is led by Google. So even though it's totally possible to release it for iOS, they just won't do it. Well, the thing is that it doesn't seem to be that much of a problem, especially for a startup, right? First of all, Android is growing and iOS is kind of stagnating. I don't know the newer data, this is 2013, but I don't think it's changed that much since. I don't think iOS is taking ground since then. It seems to be that Android is going to dominate because it is not dependent on one company. Everybody can use the system. So that's one of the reasons why you wouldn't care that much if you cover the whole market, or you can just use the 70% of the market for your startup, right? Because if you get to 1% market share, then you are totally rich already, right? So that's not a problem, that it's only 70%. But yeah, I forgot to mention there are other systems which work for iOS. One of the startups which does it is called Kino, and they create like App Inventor for iOS. So it's also possible. I didn't check that system. I don't know how good it is, but it slowly starts. So now the question, enough of the theoretical talking, now the question is how it actually works. How is that possible that we can create apps without knowing the program? And the reason is that in recent years, well, not that recent, at least 15 years, there is a shift in programming from procedural programming, when you tell the computer step by step what should be done and predict all possible situations, to the idea that the programming should be a reaction to an event. So when something happens, do something. Okay? And this change in paradigms is really well supported in App Inventor 2. So what it means is basically that you have an app, so let's say this is an app, and initially nothing happens. There is a picture. This is not, nothing is happening. And then there is a button, okay? And only when you as a user press that button, then some code will be executed to fulfill what this button is supposed to do. Or if this is a GPS application, so let's say there is a GPS component, only when GPS location data is coming to the app and it's different than the previous one, only at this moment do something about this data. Maybe update your position on the map or something like this, right? So it is a reactive approach to programming. When something happens, you do it, okay? And this is essential to understand how the App Inventor works without understanding actually the programming part. Now, how the apps look like. So the first thing is that they are event-driven. It's called, when you have some reaction to event, we call it event-driven programming. But it's also block-based programming. So it means that you're not programming in code, you're not writing, but you're putting together pieces of something which is code behind, like hidden behind it is a code, but you actually are putting together blocks, predefined blocks of code, which you can modify for your purposes. So if I ask you to tell me, what do you think, without knowing, you've never seen an App Inventor, what do you think, this entire program here, what do you think this program is doing? Try to read it and tell me what it does, what is the feature? You're not, I'm not expecting you to guess completely what it is doing, but try to guess more or less what it is doing. Like, what do you think might be the behavior? And yeah, and what happens? So if you read from the top, it says when texting message received. There's like broken English saying when I get a message, text message, right? Then do what? Set texting phone number to the number which we received. Set texting message to I'm driving now, text you later. And send that message, right? So three things in a row. Give me the number I got the message from. Give me the message, send the message I want to send, and send that message to that person, right? Okay? And then, even better, so that's easy, right? We just, whenever our phone receives a message, a text message, it will respond, and I'm driving, so I'm not going to respond to it. It will say, I'm driving now, text you later, okay? But there is a next thing which happens here. What do you think this part does? Guessing is fine, yeah.
It reads the message.
Yeah, it actually speaks out the message you have received, right? So it says, call text-to-speech, so use text-to-speech engine, which I have, and then join the message, and first say, you have received the following text from the number which we got earlier, and the message which we got earlier, right? So it is, in basically one page of picture, like one image, we created an app, this is an entire app, it's like working, you can basically put it into app inventory, it will work, which can respond to text messages when they are received, so it's reactive to the event of I got a message. It will send a message saying, I'm busy, I cannot talk now, I'm driving, I cannot talk now, and it will actually read this message to you, so you can actually, without touching the device, you can hear it. So I find it amazing when I learned about App Inventor that this can be done in one page of drawing pictures or putting together blocks. And if I wanted to write it as an app in Java or Android, I guess it would be something like altogether probably 200 pages of code, but if I just write this code myself and use other stuff, it will be probably 3-4 pages of code or more. So imagine the difference. And this is when I will achieve exactly the same functionality. Okay? So this is what I'm trying to convince you about. But let's actually do that, right? So I'm speaking already for half an hour. Let's do something, not just me saying that it's so amazing. So let's go to the website, which I will show you in a second. AI2 appinventor.mit. You can Google it. And this is here, okay? App Inventor. And log in using your, there will be a login button. Log in using your CSUMB account because it is a Google account. So this is it. This is entire system of creating apps which is on a browser-based. Remember when I was saying what are the features of the App Inventor? It is a browser-based environment for creating apps. Okay, so let's see what we have. We log in, and then we get this view on our newly created app. Actually, let's create the first app from scratch. So we have a menu at the top, project. We can say start new project, and name it welcome message. Okay. So this is an empty app which right now does nothing. It already exists as an app. I could install it on my phone, and it will be an app which will run but does nothing. Yeah.
Where do you log in?
There is a login button on the right side, top corner. It says start creating app. Yeah, they didn't put a login button. They are saying create apps. It should be login because it's confusing. Everybody is logged in? Okay, so let me, if I open it in incognito, I can show you exactly here. Enter. Okay.
Does it have to be a Chrome or it could be any browser?
Well, I would prefer, if it's Chrome, that's better, okay? So if you open it in Chrome, you see this website, it's the ugliest website I've ever seen, and you press Create Apps. That's the login button for them, okay? It's very, I forgot about this, that it's not standard, so you press Create Apps, and it asks you to log in with a Google account. Okay? Everybody is logged in now? Any issues? Didn't break yet? It will break over time, for sure. Something has to break. It's a demo. So, okay. So we see this website when we can, the first thing we see is that we have something which looks like a screen from the Android device, right? So this is the place where we'll be putting elements of our app which are interactive or display some information. So this is basically our designer for our user interface for the app. And we start with user interface because we're thinking from the event-driven perspective of programming. So we only want to react to something, so that's why we're creating elements to which we can react when user presses a button or something like this. So let's do the first basic thing, which would be put a button onto the screen. So we have an app which has just one button. Okay? So on the left side here, you have a palette with different elements of the user interface you can create. So it says user interface, button, text box, list view, different kinds of elements which you can put into your app. To put that actual element into the app, you just drag it from there. So you hold the mouse button on it and drop it on the screen of the phone. Okay? And it's there. Okay? So now I have a button on the screen, but it doesn't do anything, right? So first of all, it says text for button 1. It doesn't have any action attached to it. So let's first change text for the button 1 to something which will say listen to what I say, or let's say listen to what I say. So how do I change that properties of a button? There is a panel called properties where you can change everything about this element which is selected here, right? So you have background, it's enabled, different font styles. It's a little bit like manipulating a Word document characters or a word, right? You can change how it looks like. So I want to change the text on this button to say, listen to what I say, okay? So to change text, I have it here, almost at the bottom of the page. It says text. I make it bigger for you. And I will change it to listen to what I say. Okay, and as you see, when I press anywhere else, I got the button to change its look, and now it says listen to what I say. Everybody's have it? Yeah? Oh, okay, I thought you had a question. Now, we could just send that up and have it do nothing, but there will be a button which you can press, and it will be a reactive button. It will actually look like a button. You can press it. There will be the sound of pressing of this button. So let's see if we can do that. I need to first connect my mobile device. So this is a view of my Samsung device, which I have here. Okay. And you see that it says listen. So this is the alt app. Just a second. So how do I send the app to my device? I select connect, and I am connected with USB, so I can do that. In a second I will explain to you how you connect with your devices if you don't have USB with you. But let me just show you how it works first. Okay? So now the app is trying to connect to my phone and send it to App Inventor is trying to send the application to the phone. Okay, it probably succeeded, so let's see. Okay, so on my phone, I have now an app which, with a single button, listen to what I say, right? So this is the simplest app we just wrote. If I press that button, there is some sound of pressing, but nothing really happens, right? But it is already an app on the phone.
Christoph.
Yeah.
So what software do you need to install on the Mac in order
Yeah.
to display your phone content?
Yeah, I will. In a second, I will go there. We will actually go through all of this in a very details, but this is a little complicated. So I wanted to show you first how amazing it is, how quickly it can be done. You don't need to follow through the actual execution, okay, of this app. We will do the execution of app from scratch, okay. So I have this button, but it doesn't do anything. So one of the most important things you do in the app inventor is to design the action for that button, or rather a reaction to an event when this button is pressed. Okay? So I do that in the other tab of the design of this app. Here is a designer. When I press blocks, I will get a view where I can program my reactions to the app based on events. Okay? So let me just do it, and then we will discuss how it is done. So I want to say, when button 1 is pressed, do something. And I don't know yet what should be done. Well, what I want to be done, I want to have this app listen to what I say. Okay? So I will say, give me a speech recognizer. And also I want it to speak to me. Okay? So I know I didn't explain it. I will go through it in a second. But I just said here, when I click, I want you to recognize what I'm saying. And then I want you to say to me something which is in this bracket. Okay? Okay? So, this is it. I just wrote an app where when I press the button, and nothing breaks, the app will listen to me and will answer that it promises not to break. Okay? So let's try. Hey, do you promise to not to break during this demo? Oops. That's what happens. Ah, of course, I forgot to say. When you receive the text, then do it. Once again. Okay, now don't break. Okay?
I promise I will behave and won't break.
Okay? So, in a very, very fast way, I just wrote an app with one mistake, which is obviously has to happen, to which I can speak and it will actually answer, right? I didn't explain how it works. I just wanted to show you how quickly you can get it. Because if you think about it, you get this, you have this idea, I want to have an app which talks to me when I'm lonely, right? And you call a developer and say, hey, how much you would charge for an app which will talk to me when I'm lonely? And we'll be like, okay, well, it's artificial intelligence, that's 10,000. I need like a database of interesting things to say, that's 5,000, maybe 50,000 I can do it, right? And now you can answer, no way, I can do it in 5 minutes in App Inventor, okay? So right now, I hope you are convinced that this is a powerful tool, because I showed you a live programming with a mistake on my side, which basically created that app. Now, let's see if we can distribute that app to you. So that is the method which we'll be using today. Because my setup, if you see here, is like a lot of cables, and we ask you to download some software, and you can try to do it this way, but I just worry there will be too many issues. But there is a one way to distribute the app, which is absolutely amazing, as long as our network doesn't break, which is that I just go to connect and actually to build and say create that app and provide a QR code for it so anybody who sees the QR code can download it. Okay? So one thing which you need to get this app from my system in a second to your system is to have the app inventor companion. So MIT-A2 companion. Everybody have it downloaded for the Android devices? So if you have it downloaded, please open that app and scan the code. Hopefully, you can scan the code because it's in a connection. Okay? Open the app, try to scan the code.
It only works for the Android, right?
Yeah, it only works for Android, unfortunately. And basically what should happen is that you get that app onto your device, and when you speak to it, it will answer that it will not work. Anybody has Android devices? I just want to see that it's working for our work. If you can read, it might be too far. Yeah? Is it okay? It's too far? Okay, so let me try to do it on my device. To show you that it works. There's a scanner here. And I need to scan it here. Oops. And I got disconnected. Sorry, just a second. Okay, so I got the app on my phone. And this app stays there on my phone right now. I can speak to it if I'm lonely. Can you say something?
I will behave and won't break.
You already broke twice. So the process of transferring the app to your device is actually even more complicated than writing the app. It took more time, right? So that is a good sign, because if delivering something is more complicated than writing it, that already means that writing it is pretty easy. Okay? So now, I hope you are convinced that this is a great system to work with. So let's go and actually create an app from scratch, which will be a pretty complicated system, okay? So here is the idea. So the idea for the app we will be working today is called, the app will be called Spot Locator, okay? Spot Locator will be an app that records the current location of where you are, wherever you are, and then it can direct you to that location if you forget where it is. So it is a fully functional app which you could even try to release maybe for free or maybe charge for it. Basically it helps you remember nice places, right? So you can locate it. For example, if you have if you park your car and you think you might forget where you parked your car, you can record this place and then it will direct you to the car with the quality of the GPS, which is up to 3 meters in the distance from your car. Or if you are going to a restaurant and maybe you would like to remember the restaurant, you go to many restaurants, you are worried that you will forget its name, then you can record this location and then retrieve it whenever you are interested to go there again. Or you go to a camping and you think that some spot was great, but you don't know where exactly you are, so you can record the GPS location, and this way you can find it, right? So this looks like a middle size or small size app which could actually be useful, right? It's not doing just one gimmick like speaking to me, but it actually has a lot of features, remembers places, let it show you directions, and so on. So if you try to order this app, this will be the size of an app where I think the developer would charge around $3,000, $4,000 to develop it. But we are going to create that entire app, taking into account all the mistakes on the way on, the issues which can happen with mobile devices, within the next 2 hours. It will be a fully functional app which you can just release to the Android platform. So that's, I think it's great possibility. Okay, so let's make a short break, and then we can go to actual workshop, which will be for like 1.5 hours. Okay. Well, it will happen like this for sure. I think they have some process of acceptance. Very, as long as they don't do something nasty. So this is perfect for it. It will be so doable to do it in this. Yeah, that would be a perfect application. But honestly, you can do it like from what you've just been like, just want to look at your friends. The problem is it's stereo, right? Then maybe
Let's get through this, because I was thinking about what's going to be appropriate for this. Let's get through this and we'll figure it out. It might be send me your app, or it might be, whatever it may be. I also have a record of who's here, so I may just do it off of that. I'm sure you do. Is that a surprise to me? No.